Here we're going to take a look at a couple of miscellaneous functions that might be of importance to you. So right now, again, we're on our Flipgrid Educator dashboard and we're looking at all our grids. If you take a look to the right of all of your grids, you see grid activity right now. This is active, meaning if the students have the URL to your grid, they would be able to access it. If there's ever a time where you don't want anybody to have access to it, you can change it from active to inactive. And one of the other things you have available to you, if you click on the Actions drop down next to one of your grids, you have the ability to edit your grid, view the topics, add co-pilots, which is another word for adding a co-teacher. So if you want another teacher to have editing access to your grid, this is where you would do it. So you could click on there and you would put in the Flipgrid educator's email, and in our case you would put in their limerickschools.org account, and you can click invite and then they'll have access to it. And then one of the other things you can do is if you want to duplicate a grid. And what a duplicated grid will do is it will duplicate the grid and the topics, but any responses that students have put in there will be removed. So this is something that you could do in a new school year, and you wanted to keep your topics and your grid without having to create it from scratch again. You could do that and just clear out the responses. The other thing that I wanted to point out to you is if you go inside one of your grids and you take a look at all the topics that are available, you can see next to each one of these topics, some are active, some are inactive. So you can create ahead of time some of your topics and make them inactive so students can't see them. But you also have that ability when you go in and create a new topic, you can choose when you want your topic to actually display, and you can also have a cutoff time, a launch and freeze date. So that's available to you as well. But the other thing I wanted to show you with each one of your topics, if you click on the drop-down menu here, you have active, you have frozen, and you have inactive. And what frozen means is if you have completed a particular topic, most of your students have answered, and you don't want anybody else to be able to add any additional video responses, you can freeze it, which will allow the students to still be able to see all the responses in your topic, but they won't be able to add anything else. So that's a good feature to have if you want your students to be able to review something for a test, but you don't want them to be actively engaging in this. You just want them to have view rights only. And then the rest of these drop-down options for your topics are very similar to the drop-down that you had in your grid. One other nice feature in here is to duplicate a topic. So if you have a topic that you liked and you want to duplicate it and then move it over to another grid, so let's say you create more than one grid for all of your classes, you can click Duplicate Topic, and it asks you which grid do you want to put it into. So you will see a drop-down and all the grids you have created will show up. So you click on your destination grid, and then what do you want to keep? Only the topic, or do you want to keep only featured responses? So you have two options over here. If you just want the topic, duplicate the topic so that you don't have to recreate it again. You can click on that, click Duplicate Topic. Depending on how much content is in there, this could go very quick or very slow, but usually it goes very quickly. And if I look up here, my grids, Tim Tebow Fan Club, that's the name of the grid, you can see that this topic is now also available in this particular grid as well. So there's just a little few functionality, little pieces that you might want to consider using as you start to use Flipgrid more with your classes.